Hi guys. What are we? Week 2, day 8, day 9 of isolation, cancellation, and quarantine. This whole idea of pandemic, this whole pandemic situation has really been interesting on many levels, of course. Originally, I put out a video saying don't panic. And I did come off as if there was an overreaction with regard to isolation and cancellations. There was an overreaction to government, or overreaction by the government to close schools, colleges. I felt that it lacked perspective, and I compared it to the swine flu of 09-010, as well as I mentioned statistics of traffic accidents and traffic deaths. Now, obviously, I didn't want to create a false narrative as if traffic deaths and pandemics are on the same par. And I didn't want to downplay the seriousness of this as well. And if you recall, I did mention that this could be a big deal. Well, obviously, the threat isn't to the youth. If they get it, they become immune to it. All well and good, just like any other cold or flu. But the problem is grandpa and grandma in the hundreds of thousands dying potentially. And since it takes so long for the symptoms to show up to 14 days, and the resilience of the virus on hard surfaces, that they can survive and live up to, I think it's 3 days. We don't need a bunch of senior citizens dying en masse. That would create real problems as they need treatment, as well as real problems as far as a body count and overwhelming the system with mass deaths. So I didn't mean to downplay it as if it was no big deal. But the point of my former video was simply to say, just don't panic. And the hype from the media was everybody's going to die if you get it. When it was, and still is, based on the worldwide statistics, the cases versus the deaths, you still have only a 4% mortality rate. So that means you have a 96 or better, because it's looking like it's going to end up being better, 96% or more rate of recovery. The idea is not to panic, but this whole crisis, as it were, this pandemic, has kind of brought to light several things that should have been routine for most as it is. First of all, be prepared. You don't know what life is going to hand you. We live our lives and we have a normal routine. And we expect that routine to carry on and carry on and carry on unless we change it. Well, there are so many things beyond our control. We can only control ourselves. And then sometimes we have a hard time doing that. Hence the propensity to overeat or eat garbage. Or do self-destructive behaviors, binge drinking, pornography. Not to mention the general lack of health and fitness of the American people. That's a lack of control of ourselves. So how in the world can we expect to control the rest of the world outside of ourselves? We can't. So it illustrated the need to be prepared for an event like a grid down, power grid failure, and God forbid a sustained one based on a CME, sun flare in essence, or an EMP, electromagnetic pulse weapon attack. Or perhaps a natural disaster. For example, the people in Florida are faring much better during this COVID-19 pandemic shutdown because they had supplies in the event of a hurricane. So by the geographic location, the place where they live, they were forced to have preparations already in place. So the impact as far as prepping goes, the impact as far as supplies goes, was not as great in hurricane country as it is throughout the rest of the country. It also illustrates how interconnected we are. We are so interconnected. Unfortunately, we're also disconnected. It's not just technology that we're connected to that makes us disconnected to the world around us and the people around us, but we're so interconnected that we fail to realize that what we do impacts others. It may not be a big deal if you get corona. If you're 20 years old or if you're 10 years old, if you're healthy, you probably won't feel any effects of it, or very little. But then you go visit Grandpa and Grandma, or then you cough or sneeze on a shopping cart, and then someone else picks it up who might not know or even feel the symptoms for a while, and then goes visit people in nursing home. Maybe they work in a nursing home. So then they spread it to these vulnerable people who have weakened immune systems. And it's been proven that the mortality rate is very high among the elderly. It also illustrates that this interconnection can be good, but also can be bad. To spread that virus very simply, just by going about your day-to-day life, working, shopping, etc. Another thing that it illustrates is the need to be physically fit. I've done some fitness videos. I've done videos on the need to be fit, to be in shape somewhat. And I know shape is a relative term, because being in shape means being shapely, as much as what your body type will allow, versus being physically fit or prepared in a level of strength. They're saying that the stronger you are, the more physically fit you are, the more cardiovascularly fit you are, the better you're going to fare with the coronavirus. You're going to be more resilient to it, not to mention you're going to be more resistant to it. So that brings us to the fact that they're saying isolate, hide out at home, shelter in place. You've heard all these terms probably. Many states have implemented a shelter in place or stay at home or be in isolation. Well, what's the best place to be? The best place is to get outside, to get some sunshine, to get some fresh air. Don't be breathing the stale air of the inside all day. Don't be cooped up in the same house with a bunch of people who are forced to be your family. Because being with family obviously can get sickening really fast. Even though you love each other, you can be annoyed by each other. And that's why you have to have a life outside of family, and you have to have a life outside of your own house, 4 walls. Because then your home becomes a prison if you don't get out. So get outside, get some exercise, get some fresh air, get in touch with yourself, but especially in touch with the world around you, nature. Put the technology away. When you get some fresh air, observe the signs of the times, the signs of nature, the signs of spring. And be healthy.